So memory is the biggest problem. You have to match speed, pin configuration, and type. It is very, very, very unforgiving if you get the wrong kind of memory. And most of the problem will be serious, serious bottlenecks in the computer that cannot be repaired. And by that, every time you load a file from the hard drive or something, it takes forever. If I click save, it takes forever to come back to me. Why? So you may have the wrong type of memory. You didn't match it correctly. And remember what I told you about memory. You want to look up in the manual what has been tested on that motherboard and only use one of those choices. If you don't like those choices, then get a different motherboard. Don't go messing around with the memory like that. Sometimes people do it and they can do it successfully if they know what they're doing, but it can be expensive to do the trial and error process that it takes to do it. So as programs and hardware get faster, memory is more important. This is incredibly true. This is probably the most true statement I've seen out of all the slides that we've gone over here. So memory upgrades are simple to perform. The actual process of swapping the memory is simple to perform, but it may require a cleaning on the inside as well. There's nothing simple about a cleaning. You're risking a lot of short circuits in there with all that dust and the moisture that comes with those spray cans. So when you're spraying out a computer, make sure that it's unplugged, okay? Don't air wash a computer that's plugged in. You want to unplug it, remove the power, and then air wash it with the can. And then remember what I told you, you want a couple of cans on hand. That's why they sell them in 3-packs. It's not so that you have 2 extras. As one freezes up, you go to the next one, and you go to the next one, you round robin them so that they have a chance to defrost. You want to keep that maximum as they start to go, as the air pressure gets lower and lower, it's because the tubes are freezing. Switch to the other can and let it warm back up before you keep going. Take your time and do a good job. Everything should look brand new when you're done. And then sometimes you can take like an Armor All or a towel, something like that, moist newspaper, and wipe the dust out of the bottom and off the big stuff, of the hard drives and things like that, where the dust won't leave because it's been, wet from moisture already, so it gets sticky. And you got to wipe it off. Memory upgrades are simple to perform, but there's nothing simple about picking new memory. You have to download the motherboard book. It's going to take some time. You need to put some time into that. Then you have to go and find the exact same memory online somewhere. Consider memory chip format, speed, extended data, and random access memory, EDO RAM. So extended data out, random access memory. Parity and cache memory. So some of these terms are old, but for the newer computers, you may need ECC registered RAM. It's a lot better RAM, but it takes longer to boot up because it has to check it. But errors are detected much earlier than in a regular PC. Check the motherboard documentation to determine the memory type, population scheme, and location of memory slots. Also, if somebody has only has 2 slots, or let's say they have 4 slots, and then they have 2 8-gigabyte sticks of RAM in there already. So they have 16 gigabytes of RAM. And they're like, man, I need an upgrade. I need 32 gigs of RAM, and it's cheap now. So you want to go out and buy another 8. But you need to look at the scheme and layout, because maybe once you cross the 8 gig barrier, you have to buy, it can only come in 2 pairs. Maybe they can only use 2 sticks in this configuration. And then maybe the 64 comes in the 4-stick configuration. So you have to look at that, because you may not necessarily just be able to stick 2 8-gig sticks in there, and the motherboard will tell you this kind of thing. So there are a lot of restrictions when it comes to RAM. This stuff is complicated when it comes to memory. And again, the devil's in the details. So make sure you pick a scheme, like how many sticks do I use to create 8? How many do I use to create 16? How many do I use to create 32? So on and so forth. So there are 2 basic formats for memory. The 2 basic formats for memory are single inline memory modules, SIMs, again these are very old, and DIMMs, dual inline memory modules. So the DIMMs were double-sided, the SIMs were single-sided. That's the difference here. So these terms are old. Everything's going to be some form of a DIMM today. So there's a SIM, and then there's a DIMM. Contains 8-bit memory, chunks or 8-bit chunks. A 32-bit processor requires 4 SIMs. And then the bottom one, the 72-pin SIM, contains memory in 32-bit chunks. A 32-bit processor requires 1 SIM. So again, it depends on the motherboard here, how the electrical wiring is done for different types of situations.